The silence in space lasted exactly 3 seconds. Then the indomitable Dawn opened fire. Captain 16 stood calmly on his bridge as ancient weapons came alive around him. The ship's main plasma batteries fired in sequence, each shot precisely aimed at critical targets in the Vorthan formation. Teho, target their command ships first. Cut off their leadership, yes sir. Firing quantum torpedoes. The torpedoes moved through space like small suns. When they struck their targets, the explosions were visible from planets away. Entire Vorthan warships simply vanished in balls of pure energy. War leader Thekmor watched his flagship sister ship die in an instant. The Bloodfang, one of the most powerful vessels in the Vorthan fleet, was there one moment and gone the next. Impossible, he screamed. No weapon has that much power. His tactical officer Zethkor was staring at the sensor readings in shock. Sir, that single ship is generating more energy than our entire battle group. How are their reactors not overloading? I don't care how. All ships concentrate fire on that vessel. Destroy it now! Half the Vorthan fleet turned their weapons on the indomitable Dawn. Energy beams and missiles filled space like an angry storm. The ancient human ship disappeared behind walls of fire and explosion. When the smoke cleared, it was still there. Still moving. Still fighting. Shields at 98%, Chief Engineer Daun reported calmly. Minor damage to outer hull plating. All systems operational, Wonsik nodded. The ship had been built to fight gods. Alien energy weapons were barely an annoyance. Jinne, begin Phase 2. Launch boarding craft. Yes, sir. All assault teams away. Small, fast ships launched from the indomitable Dawn's hangar bays. They moved through the battle like deadly fish. Too quick for the Vorthons to target effectively. On Admiral Kehoe's flagship, everyone was watching the battle with amazement and growing horror. Sir, Nari said quietly, they're not just fighting the Vorthons. They're destroying them, systematically. Kehoe watched as another Vorthan cruiser exploded under the ancient ship's guns. The indomitable Dawn was not fighting like a modern military vessel. It was fighting like something from humanity's darkest past. My God, he whispered. What did we become out there? Lieutenant J. Min was monitoring the communication channels. Vorthan voices filled the airwaves, screaming in panic and confusion. Sir, I'm picking up Vorthan emergency transmissions. They're calling for reinforcements, reporting impossible human weapon power, requesting permission to retreat. Are they getting permission? No, sir. Their high command is ordering them to stand and fight. Kehoe almost felt sorry for the aliens. They had no idea what they were facing. On the indomitable Dawn, Executive Officer Jinne was coordinating the boarding attacks. Her assault teams had trained for 4 centuries for this moment. They moved through Vorthan ships like ghosts, striking at critical systems and command centers. Team Alpha has secured the enemy cruiser Deathwind, she reported. Team Beta is moving on the battleship Bonecrusher. The boarding teams were not trying to capture the ships. They were destroying them from the inside, using knowledge gained from centuries of studying alien technology. Captain, Teho called out. The enemy is trying to reorganize their formation. They're pulling back their damaged ships. Don't let them regroup. Target their fuel ships and ammunition transports. More quantum torpedoes launched, seeking the support vessels that kept the Vorthan fleet operational. Each hit was devastating. Ships that had taken years to build were destroyed in seconds. War leader Thekmor was beginning to understand that he was not fighting a battle. He was experiencing a disaster. Communication, send a message to all surrounding fleets. Tell them we need immediate reinforcement. Sir, the nearest fleet is 3 days away. Then send it anyway. This single human ship is destroying us. But even as he gave the order, Thekmor knew it was too late. Half his fleet was already gone. The rest were scattered and demoralized. His perfect invasion force was falling apart. On New Busan, Captain Bo Young was watching the sky in amazement. Explosions lit up space like fireworks. The Vorthan orbital bombardment had stopped completely. All units, enemy ground forces are retreating, she reported over the radio. I repeat, the Vorthans are pulling back. Her gunner, Tae Young, was grinning despite their desperate situation. Captain, look at those explosions. That ancient ship is really doing it. Bo Young felt hope for the first time in days. Maybe her brother Hyunwoo would live through this after all. Dr. Hyunwoo was coordinating rescue operations from the evacuation center. The Vorthan bombers that had been terrorizing the civilian population were suddenly gone, recalled to defend their fleet. All medical teams, prepare for wounded from the defense lines, he called out. The battle isn't over yet, but maybe we have a chance. Back in space, Admiral Kehoe was getting reports from across the system. The ancient warship was not just fighting the main fleet. It was hunting down every Vorthon vessel it could find. "Sir," Young-Ho reported from the navigation station, "the indomitable Dawn is moving to intercept the Vorthon retreat route. They're not letting anyone escape." "Captain Wansik is not just trying to win this battle," Nari observed. "He's trying to make sure no Vorthon survives to report what they've seen." Kehoe began to understand the strategy. If no aliens escaped, the Vorthon Empire would never know what had destroyed their invasion fleet. They would remain ignorant of humanity's true capabilities. On the ancient warship, Wansik was watching the tactical displays with satisfaction. The Vorthon formation was completely broken. Enemy ships were fleeing in all directions, but his fighters were hunting them down one by one. "Dayun, how are our power levels?" "Still at optimal, Captain. These reactors could sustain combat operations for weeks if necessary." "Good. Teho, are the special weapons ready?" "Yes, sir. All systems armed and targeted." Wansik looked at his crew. They had served together for 4 centuries preparing for this day. Now they were finally home, finally fighting for their people. "Jin A, signal Admiral Kehoe. Tell him to pull his fleet back to minimum safe distance." "Sir, are we using the Nova bombs?" "Yes, it's time to end this." The Nova bombs were the most terrible weapons in the indomitable Dawn's arsenal. They had been built during humanity's darkest period, when Earth's nations fought each other with weapons that could crack planets. "All coalition vessels, this is Captain Wansik. Retreat to coordinates Alpha 79 immediately. Do not ask questions. Do not delay." Kehoe heard the urgency in the ancient captain's voice and gave the order immediately. His fleet pulled back at maximum speed. War Leader Thekmor saw the coalition ships retreating and felt a moment of hope. Perhaps the humans were finally running away. Then the indomitable Dawn fired its special weapons. The Nova bombs moved slowly through space, almost lazily. They looked harmless, like small metal spheres drifting on the solar wind. When they reached the center of the Vorthon fleet, they detonated. The explosions were like miniature suns being born. Energy waves swept out in all directions, destroying everything they touched. Hundreds of Vorthon ships were vaporized instantly. The survivors found their electronics fried, their weapons dead, their engines failing. In less than 10 minutes, the mighty Vorthon invasion fleet was reduced to drifting wreckage. Thekmor's flagship was one of the few ships still functional. He stared at the destruction surrounding him, unable to believe what he was seeing. "This is impossible," he whispered. "One ship cannot do this. It cannot." But the evidence was all around him. The greatest fleet in Vorthon history lay in ruins, destroyed by weapons that should not exist. A communication channel opened. Wansik's face appeared on Thekmor's screen, calm and cold as winter. "War Leader Thekmor, this is Captain Wansik. Your invasion fleet is destroyed. Your ground forces are retreating. This system belongs to humanity. You cannot be human. Humans are weak. Humans run from battle." Wansik smiled, but there was no warmth in it. "You've been fighting the wrong humans, alien. You've been fighting our children, who learned to be civilized and peaceful. We are their parents, who learned to be something else entirely. What are you? We are what humanity became when we decided that survival was more important than morality. We are what we had to become to ensure that our people would never face extinction." The communication ended. Thekmor sat in his command chair, surrounded by the wreckage of his dreams of conquest. The humans had won. But more than that, they had revealed a capability that would change the balance of power in the galaxy forever. In the distance, the indomitable Dawn continued its hunt, ensuring that no Vorthon ship would escape to tell the tale of humanity's hidden strength. War Leader Thekmor stood on the command deck of his flagship Death's Herald, watching the tactical displays with growing irritation. His scout ships should have reported back by now. The human defense fleet was weak and scattered. This battle should be simple. "Communications Officer Vextar, contact the advanced scouts," he ordered. "Sir, I've been trying for the past hour." No response from any of the 12 ships. Thekmor's red eyes narrowed. His species had conquered hundreds of worlds. They did not lose scout ships to primitive human technology. "Send the probe ships ahead. I want to know what happened to my scouts." 3 small probe vessels moved forward, their sensors scanning the area where the scouts had vanished. They found nothing. No wreckage, no energy signatures, no trace that 12 warships had ever existed. This is impossible, Techmore growled. Ships do not simply vanish. His tactical officer Zethkor looked nervous. Sir, perhaps we should approach more carefully. The humans may have new weapons we don't know about. The humans are weak, Techmore roared. They have been running from us for months. One battle group will not stop the might of the Vorthan Empire. But even as he said it, Techmore felt a small chill of doubt. In 400 years of conquest, the Vorthons had never lost an entire scout force without any trace. On the indomitable Dawn, Navigator Young-Ho was tracking the probe ships with cold efficiency. Captain, 3 enemy probes are scanning the area where we destroyed their scouts. Orders? Wonsik looked at the tactical display. The main Vorthon fleet was still 2 hours away. Perfect timing, let them look. They won't find anything useful. How are our preparations coming? Chief Engineer Da-Un answered from her station. All systems are operating at peak efficiency. The special weapons are charged and ready. The ship can sustain maximum combat operations for 72 hours. Excellent. Jin-A, what's the status of our boarding teams? Executive Officer Jin-A checked her reports. All assault teams are ready, Captain. Full combat armor, advanced weapons, complete tactical briefings. They're eager to fight, Wonsik nodded. His crew had been preparing for this battle for 4 centuries. They had trained with weapons and tactics that modern humans had forgotten. They had studied every recorded alien conflict, learning how different species fought and died. Taeho, prepare the quantum torpedoes. I want them programmed for maximum area effect. Sir, that setting will create massive energy storms. Any ships caught in the blast will be completely destroyed. That's the idea, Lieutenant. On the Coalition flagship, Admiral Kehoe was trying to coordinate his remaining forces. The ancient human ship had given them hope, but he still did not understand how one vessel could change the outcome of this battle. Nari, what's our fleet status? 47 ships operational, sir. Ammunition is low. Fuel reserves are critical. Most of our vessels are damaged from previous engagements. Kehoe looked at the display showing the approaching Vorthon armada. 2,000 ships against 47. Even with the mysterious indomitable Dawn, the odds were impossible. Sir, Lieutenant Jae-min called out. Message from Captain Wonsik. Wonsik's face appeared on the communication screen. His expression was calm and confident, as if facing overwhelming odds was perfectly normal. Admiral Kehoe, I need you to move your fleet to the following coordinates. When the battle begins, stay back and provide support fire only. Captain, with respect, we should coordinate our attacks. Use combined tactics to maximize our effectiveness. No, Admiral. Your ships fight like modern military vessels. Clean, precise, efficient. The Vorthons have studied your tactics for years. They know how to counter everything you do. Kehoe felt frustrated. Then how do you suggest we win? We don't fight like a modern military, Admiral. We fight like something much older and much more dangerous. The communication ended, leaving Kehoe staring at the blank screen. Nari walked over to stand beside him. Sir, should we trust him? We don't know what they learned out there in deep space. What if they've changed too much? What if they're no longer truly human? Kehoe considered the question. There had been something cold and frightening about Captain Wonsik's voice, something that suggested terrible knowledge gained through terrible experiences. They're still our people, Nari, they have to be. Meanwhile, on New-Busan, Captain Bo Young was preparing for her final battle. The Vorthon ground forces were advancing steadily despite her best efforts. Her tank battalion was down to 12 vehicles and running low on ammunition. All units, this is Bo Young. Enemy forces will reach our position in 30 minutes. Hold the line as long as possible, then fall back to secondary positions. Her gunner, Tae-young, looked scared but determined. Captain, do you think that ancient ship can really help us? Bo Young watched the enemy advance through her periscope. Hundreds of Vorthon war machines moving like a metal tide across the landscape. I don't know, Tae-young, but it's the only hope we have left. High above the planet, the Vorthon main fleet finally arrived. Techmore looked at his tactical displays and felt satisfaction. The human fleet was tiny and scattered. This would be an easy victory. All ships advance to attack formation, destroy the human vessels quickly, then begin orbital bombardment of their colonies. 2,000 Vorthon ships moved forward in perfect formation. They had done this many times before. Conquest was their specialty. But as they advanced, something appeared on their sensors. A single human ship, massive and dark, moving to intercept them. Sir, Vextar reported. One enemy vessel approaching on attack vector. It appears to be very old human design. Thekmore laughed. One ship? They send one ancient vessel against the entire Vorthan battle fleet? Their desperation is amusing. Should we target it for destruction? No, let it come closer. I want to see what pathetic weapons these primitive humans think can threaten us. The indomitable Dawn moved through space with deadly grace. Its ancient hull was scarred from countless battles fought in the dark between stars. Weapon ports opened like hungry mouths along its flanks. Captain, Young-Ho reported. Enemy fleet is in optimal range for our special weapons. One-Sik looked at his crew. They were ready. 4 centuries of preparation had led to this moment. All stations, this is the captain. We are about to show these aliens what humans are truly capable of. What we learned in the dark places between the stars. What we became when we decided that our people would never again face extinction. He paused, his hand hovering over the weapons control. Today we remind the galaxy why humans survived when so many others did not. Today we bring the thunder of old Earth to these alien skies. Thekmore watched the single human ship approaching his vast armada. Such arrogance, such stupidity. Did they think one vessel could stand against the might of an empire? Focus all weapons on that ship when it enters range, he ordered. I want it destroyed quickly so we can get on with the real business of conquest. But even as he gave the order, something deep in Thekmore's mind whispered warnings. His species had conquered many worlds, but they had also learned to recognize true danger. And something about that approaching human vessel felt very dangerous indeed. Sir, Zethkur said quietly. Perhaps we should be more cautious. That ship destroyed our entire scout force without leaving any trace. Impossible. No single vessel has that kind of power. But sir, what if... Thekmore's words were cut off as the indomitable Dawn suddenly accelerated far beyond what should have been possible for a ship of its size. Energy readings spiked across all sensors. All ships open fire, Thekmore screamed. 1,000 Vorthan vessels fired at once. Energy beams and missile volleys filled space with deadly light. Enough firepower to destroy a moon struck the ancient human warship. The indomitable Dawn emerged from the explosion completely unharmed. Its shields had not even flickered. For the first time in his long life, war leader Thekmore felt real fear. Captain One-Sik walked through the corridors of his ancient ship. The indomitable Dawn had been his home for 4 centuries, but it still felt strange to be awake. The walls hummed with power from systems that modern humans had forgotten how to build. He stopped at the medical bay where his crew was finishing their awakening procedures. Dozens of cryopods were opening, releasing people who had been sleeping since before the coalition existed. Report. Chief Medical Officer Dayun, One-Sik said. Dayun was checking the vital signs of the last crew members to wake up. She was a small woman, but her eyes held the hardness of someone who had seen too much war. All crew members are awake and functional, Captain. The long sleep didn't damage anyone. We're ready for combat operations. Good. How long do we have before the Vorthan main fleet arrives? According to the coalition transmissions, about 4 hours. One-Sik nodded. 4 hours to prepare for a battle they had been waiting centuries to fight. He activated the ship's communication system. All hands, this is the captain. We have returned to find our homeworld under attack by an alien empire. The coalition forces are brave, but they are few. They need us now more than ever. He paused, looking out at the stars through a nearby viewport. So many of those stars had human colonies now. The small fleet from Earth had become a vast civilization spread across the galaxy. We left Earth when humanity was young and angry and violent. We returned to find humanity grown wise and peaceful. But wisdom and peace cannot always stop those who choose war. Today we will show these aliens why Earth's children survived when so many others did not. On the bridge, Lieutenant Taeho was running diagnostics on the weapon systems. The plasma cannons were ancient but still powerful. The quantum torpedoes were based on physics that modern scientists barely understood. Captain, Taeho called out. All weapon systems are operational. The main plasma batteries are at full charge. We have 60 quantum torpedoes loaded and ready. What about the special weapons? Taeho hesitated. Sir, are you sure we want to use those? They haven't been tested since we left Earth space. These aliens threaten our people, Lieutenant. We will use every weapon we have. Executive Officer Jinne was studying the tactical information they had received from Admiral Kehoe's fleet. The Vorthan battle formations were impressive but predictable. Captain, I've analyzed their attack patterns. They rely heavily on shield technology and energy weapons. Their ships are fast but not heavily armored. Good. What about their ground forces? Standard Imperial doctrine. Heavy assault units supported by air power. They're designed to crush resistance through overwhelming force. 1-6 smiled grimly. They've never fought humans who remember the old ways. Prepare a message to Admiral Kehoe. The communication channel opened. Kehoe's tired face appeared on the screen. Captain 1-6, we're honored to have you with us, but I have to ask. One ship cannot change the outcome of this battle. The Vorthans have thousands of vessels. Admiral, with respect, you're thinking like a modern military commander. You want to minimize casualties and follow the rules of civilized warfare. We come from a time when humans fought to win, no matter the cost. Kehoe looked confused. What do you mean? Your tactics are designed to defeat enemy forces while preserving your own. Our tactics are designed to destroy the enemy's will to fight. There's a difference. On his bridge, Kehoe felt a chill run down his spine. Something about the ancient captain's voice suggested terrible things. Captain, what exactly did you learn out there in deep space? We learned that the galaxy is full of dead civilizations, Admiral. Peaceful species who chose surrender over violence. Kind beings who believed their enemies would show mercy. We decided that humanity would not join them. Chief Engineer Dawn had been listening to the conversation from her station. She remembered the things they had found in the dark between stars. Ancient battlefields where entire species had been wiped out. Dead worlds where cities had been turned to glass. The Lost Fleet had spent 400 years exploring those graveyard systems. Learning from the mistakes of the dead. Understanding why some species survived while others did not. The universe is not kind, Admiral, 1-6 continued. It does not reward mercy or honor noble gestures. It rewards strength and the will to use that strength without hesitation. Navigator Young-Ho was monitoring the approaching Vorthan scout ships, 12 fast attack vessels moving ahead of the main fleet. They would make contact in less than an hour. Captain, Young-Ho reported, enemy scouts are entering weapons range. Excellent. Lieutenant Teho, prepare to demonstrate our capabilities to both the Vorthans and our coalition friends. Teho's hands moved over his weapon controls. The ancient plasma cannons began to charge with a deep humming sound that could be felt through the ship's hull. On the coalition flagship, Ari was watching the sensor displays with growing amazement. Sir, the energy readings from that ancient ship are off the charts. Their weapon systems are generating more power than our entire fleet combined. Kehoe stared at the displays. How is that possible? That technology is 400 years old. Maybe they built things better in those days, Jamin suggested. Or maybe they found ways to improve it during their time in deep space. The first Vorthon scout ship appeared on the main screen. It was sleek and fast, armed with energy weapons that could destroy a coalition cruiser in minutes. Vorthon vessel. This is Captain 1-6 of the indomitable Dawn. You are ordered to withdraw immediately or face the consequences. The alien response came quickly. The Vorthon commander's voice was full of arrogance and contempt. Human vessel, you will surrender or be destroyed. We have conquered 1,000 worlds. Your primitive ship poses no threat to the Vorthon Empire. 1-6 looked at his crew. They were all watching him, waiting for orders. These people had served with him for centuries. They trusted him completely. Teho, target the lead scout ship. Minimum power setting. Sir, even minimum power might completely destroy them. That's the point, Lieutenant. The indomitable Dawn's main plasma cannon fired. The beam was so bright it lit up space for thousands of kilometers. It struck the Vorthon scout ship and simply erased it from existence. Not destroyed or damaged, erased. The remaining 11 scout ships stopped moving. For a moment, space was completely silent. Then the Vorthon panic transmissions began. Alien voices screaming in their own language, reporting impossible weapon power and demanding reinforcements. Well, 1-6 said calmly, now they know we're here. On the coalition flagship, everyone was staring at the main screen in shock. Where the Vorthon scout ship had been, there was now only empty space and scattered particles. My God, Kehoe whispered. What kind of weapons are those? The kind we built when we thought we might have to fight gods, 1-6 replied over the open channel. Admiral, I suggest you pull your ships back. This is going to get very violent very quickly. The remaining Vorthon scouts were retreating at maximum speed, broadcasting warnings to their main fleet, but 1-6 was not finished with them. Jin'ei launched pursuit craft. Don't let any of them escape. Sir, shouldn't we let them report back? Let them spread fear through their fleet? 1-6 shook his head. Fear is useful, but uncertainty is better. Let them wonder what happened to their scouts. Let them imagine what we might do next. Small fighter craft launched from the indomitable Dawn. They were fast and deadly, flown by pilots who had trained in the hardest school of all. 4 centuries of preparation for this moment. The Vorthan scouts died quickly and quietly in the dark between stars. No messages reached their main fleet. No warnings were sent. Now we wait, 1/6 said. When their main force arrives, they'll find nothing but silence. And then they'll learn why humans survived when so many others did not. Lieutenant Jamin was staring at his sensor screen when the first strange reading appeared. He blinked and looked again. The numbers did not make sense. "Commander Nari," he called out. "I'm getting some weird signals from the outer system." Nari walked over to his station. The bridge of the Starbreaker was busy with officers preparing for their final battle. Everyone knew they would probably die in a few hours. "What kind of signals?" Nari asked. "Energy patterns I've never seen before. They're coming from beyond the asteroid belt. The computer can't identify them." Nari frowned. "Could be a Vorthan trick. Some new weapon we don't know about." "No, ma'am. These patterns are completely different. They're almost like—" Jamin stopped and shook his head. "Never mind. It sounds crazy. Tell me anyway." "They're almost like old human technology, but that's impossible. These readings are too powerful for anything we ever built." Meanwhile, deep in the Coalition Research Center on the planet Harmony, Dr. Sora was working late in her laboratory. She was supposed to be evacuating with everyone else, but she had stayed behind to destroy sensitive files. The Vorthans could not be allowed to steal Coalition technology. Her computer beeped with an incoming message. It was a sensor reading from the fleet, sent automatically to all research stations. Sora almost deleted it, but something made her look closer. The energy signature was familiar, very familiar. She had seen something like it before in her research on pre-contact human history. Sora ran to her filing system and pulled out old data crystals. She had spent years studying the technology humans used before they met other alien races. Most of it was primitive compared to modern Coalition equipment, but some of it was strange and powerful in ways no one understood. "Computer, compare current sensor reading to historical database file 77 Alpha, she said. The computer worked for several minutes. Then it displayed the results. Sora gasped. The match was 96% accurate. With shaking hands, she opened a communication channel to the flagship. "Admiral Kehoe, this is Dr. Sora on Harmony. I need to speak with you immediately." "Doctor, now is not a good time," Kehoe's voice replied. "We are preparing for battle." "Sir, I think I know what those energy readings are. They match technology from Earth's colonial period. The Lost Fleet era. There was silence on the channel. Everyone in the Coalition knew about the Lost Fleet. It was one of the great mysteries of human history. 400 years ago, Earth had sent out a large fleet of warships to explore and colonize distant star systems. The fleet had simply vanished. No messages, no wreckage, nothing. Most people assumed they had been destroyed by some unknown danger. "That's impossible," Kehoe finally said. "Those ships disappeared centuries ago." "I know it sounds crazy, but the energy patterns match perfectly." "Admiral, what if they didn't die? What if they found something out there? What if they're coming back?" On the research station, Professor DawnHFY was helping Sora go through the old files. He was an expert on human military history, especially the dark period when Earth's nations fought each other for control of the solar system. "Here," he said, pointing to an old document. The Lost Fleet consisted of 12 heavy warships and support vessels. They were armed with the most powerful weapons Earth had ever built. Plasma cannons, quantum torpedoes, fusion bombs. "But that technology is ancient," Sora said. "How could it still work after 400 years? "Maybe it doesn't have to be better," DawnHFY replied. "Maybe it just has to be different. The Vorthans have studied our current weapons for years. They know how to defend against them. But these old weapons," he pulled up another file. The technical specifications made both scientists stare in shock. "My God," Sora whispered. "No wonder they called it the Lost Fleet. These ships weren't just explorers. They were weapons of war." Back on the flagship, Admiral Kehoe was getting more strange reports. The energy readings were getting stronger. Whatever was out there was coming closer. "Sir," said Navigator Young-Ho, "I'm tracking multiple large objects moving through the asteroid belt. They're heading straight for us." "Vorthan ships?" "No, sir. The engine signatures are completely wrong. And, sir, they're broadcasting on ancient human frequencies. Kehoe felt his heart skip a beat. Put it through the speakers. Static filled the bridge. Then through the noise came a voice speaking Old Korean mixed with English. This is Dawn. Earth Defense Force, anyone there? The transmission was broken and weak, but everyone on the bridge heard it clearly. It was a human voice. A very old human voice. Computer, enhance the signal, Kehoe ordered. The static cleared a little. The voice came through stronger. Coalition forces, this is Captain Wansik of the Earth Defense Force ship Indomitable Dawn. We have been monitoring your communications. We are coming to assist. The bridge fell completely silent. Everyone stared at the speakers as if they could not believe what they were hearing. Earth Defense Force? Nari whispered. But that organization was disbanded 300 years ago. Sir, Young-Ho called out. Visual contact. Putting it on the main screen. The display showed a ship unlike anything in the modern Coalition fleet. It was massive, dark, and covered in armor plating that looked like it could stop anything. Strange weapons pointed out from every surface. The hull was scarred and burned as if it had fought 1,000 battles, but it was definitely human in design. The basic shape and proportions were familiar, even if the details were alien. My God, Kehoe breathed. It's real. After 400 years, they're really coming home. The communication channel opened again. This time the voice was clear and strong. Coalition Command, this is Captain Wansik. We have been in deep space for 4 centuries, preparing for this moment. We saw the Vorthon invasion fleet. We know our people need help, Captain Wansik, Kehoe replied carefully. This is Admiral Kehoe of the Coalition Defense Force. We thought you were lost. Where have you been? Learning, Admiral. Learning and waiting. We found things out there in the dark. Ancient things. Dangerous things. We had to become dangerous ourselves to survive. There was something in the captain's voice that made Kehoe shiver. It was cold and hard, like metal that had been forged in fire. Captain, we are facing impossible odds. The Vorthon Empire has thousands of ships. We have less than 50. We know. We've been watching your battles. Your people fight bravely, but you fight like civilized beings. The Vorthons do not understand civilization. They only understand violence. What are you saying? We are saying that we remember how to be violent, Admiral. We remember the old ways, the ways that won Earth's first wars among the stars. On the ancient warship Indomitable Dawn, Captain Wansik stood on his bridge looking at the tactical displays. His crew moved around him with the efficiency of people who had trained for centuries. Wansik was old, older than any human should be. Cryosleep and advanced medical technology had kept him alive, but 400 years in space had changed him, changed all of them. Executive Officer Jin A, prepare the weapon systems, he said. Yes, sir. All plasma batteries are charging. Quantum torpedoes are loaded and ready. Wansik smiled, but it was not a pleasant smile. After 400 years, we finally get to come home, and we find aliens trying to destroy our people. He looked at the sensor displays showing the approaching Vorthon fleet. So many ships, so confident, so sure of their victory. They have no idea what they're about to face, he said quietly. They think they know humans. They know nothing. Admiral Kehoe stood on the bridge of his flagship Starbreaker, watching the main screen with tired eyes. Red warning lights flashed everywhere. The sounds of alarms filled the air. His uniform was dirty and torn from 3 days of non-stop fighting. Sir, we lost contact with the 3rd Fleet, Commander Nari said from her station. Her voice was calm, but Kehoe could hear the fear underneath. The Vorthon ships destroyed them completely. Kehoe nodded slowly. Another fleet gone, another 1,000 brave souls lost to the endless hunger of the Vorthon Empire. He looked at the tactical display showing their remaining forces. What had started as a mighty defense fleet of 500 ships was now down to less than 50. How many colonies have we lost? He asked. Nari checked her reports. 17 in the last week, sir. New Sol fell this morning. The evacuation ships barely escaped. The bridge fell silent except for the hum of failing systems. Kehoe remembered New Sol. Beautiful gardens, peaceful cities, millions of families living quiet lives. Now it was all ash and rubble under Vorthon boots. On the planet New Busan below them, Dr. Hyun-woo ran through the crowded evacuation center. People were crying and shouting. Children were lost and scared. The air smelled of smoke and fear. Move faster, he called to his team. The transport ships can only wait 10 more minutes. His assistant Young-mi grabbed his arm. Doctor, the northern districts are still full of people. We need more time. Hyunwoo shook his head. The Vorthon bombers are coming back. If we don't leave now, no one leaves at all. He thought about his sister Bo Young fighting with the defense forces on the other side of the planet. She had told him to get the civilians out while she held the line. Both of them knew she probably would not survive. Above the planet, Captain Bo Young watched the enemy ships getting closer through her tank's viewing scope. Her defense battalion was the last thing standing between the Vorthons and the evacuation sites. All units, hold your positions, she said into her radio. Make every shot count. Our people are counting on us. Her gunner, Tae-young, looked nervous. Captain, there are so many of them. We only have 30 tanks left. Then we make those 30 tanks feel like 300, Bo Young replied. She had been a tank commander for 8 years. She had never faced odds this bad. The Vorthon ground forces appeared over the hill like a dark wave. Their war machines were huge and terrible. Energy weapons flashed in the morning light. The ground shook under their heavy feet. Fire, Bo Young screamed. Her tanks opened up with everything they had. Explosions lit up the battlefield. Some enemy machines fell, but more kept coming, many more. Back in space, Admiral Kehoe received the latest reports from his intelligence officer, Lieutenant Jaemin. Sir, the Vorthon main fleet will arrive in 6 hours, Jaemin said. Our sensors show over 2,000 ships. 2,000 ships. Kehoe's remaining fleet could not fight even 200 and win. The Vorthon Empire had been conquering worlds for centuries. They had never lost a war. What about reinforcements? Kehoe asked, though he already knew the answer. None available, sir. Every other fleet is fighting their own battles. We are alone. On the coalition capital world, President Min-soo sat in an emergency meeting with the ruling council. The holographic displays around the room showed the same terrible story from every front. Red markers showed lost colonies. Yellow markers showed worlds under attack. There were very few green markers left. Perhaps we should consider the Vorthon offer, said Councillor Yoon-ji. She was old and had lived through many wars. If we surrender now, they say they will spare the civilian populations. You believe them? Asked General Woo Jin. His face was hard with anger. They have broken every treaty, murdered every diplomat. Why would they keep this promise? Min-soo looked at the tactical displays. Millions of people were dying. More would die tomorrow. The Vorthon war leader Thekmor had been clear in his message. Surrender in 12 hours or face total destruction. How long can our fleets hold out? Min-soo asked. Maybe 2 days, General Woo Jin replied. Maybe less. Our ships are running out of ammunition and fuel. The crews are exhausted. On his flagship, Kehoe received a direct message from the Vorthon war leader. The alien's face appeared on the main screen. Thekmor looked like a giant lizard with too many teeth. His red eyes glowed with cruel pleasure. Human Admiral, Thekmor said in broken human language. Your resistance is pointless. We have conquered 1,000 worlds. We will conquer 1,000 more. Surrender now and some of your people will live as our slaves. Fight us and they will all die. Kehoe stepped forward. This is Admiral Kehoe of the Galactic Coalition Defense Force. We will never surrender to murderers and thieves. Thekmor laughed. The sound was like breaking glass. Then you will die like all the others. Your ships are weak. Your weapons are toys. In 12 hours I will finish what we started. The transmission ended. Kehoe stared at the blank screen for a long moment. Sir? Nari asked quietly. Prepare all remaining ships for battle, Kehoe said. If we are going to die, we die fighting. Down on New Busan, the last evacuation ships lifted off into the dark sky. Dr. Hyunwoo watched them go from the spaceport control room. Most of the civilians were safe now, but not all. There had not been enough time or enough ships. His radio crackled. It was Bo Young's voice, weak and full of static. Hyunwoo? Are you there? I'm here, sister. The northern defense line is broken. The Vorthons will reach the city in 2 hours. Get out of there. What about you? There was a long pause. I'm staying. Someone has to slow them down. Hyunwoo closed his eyes. I love you, Bo Young. I love you too, little brother. Take care of yourself. The radio went silent. Above them all, the stars looked down on a dying civilization. The proud coalition that had brought peace to hundreds of worlds was falling apart. The Vorthons had won again, just like always. But space is vast and full of secrets. Sometimes help comes from places no one expects. Sometimes the dead refuse to stay buried. In the deep darkness between the stars, something ancient was stirring. Something that had been waiting for 400 years to come home.